The Bachelor of Powalgarh. This is the story of a large male tiger known as the Bachelor of Powalgarh that was responsible for several human deaths. Corbett's pursuit of this tiger became a legendary tale of determination and skill, as he tracked the tiger over a long period before finally bringing it down. According to reports, the male Bengal tiger known as the Bachelor of Powalgarh measured 10 feet 7 inches, 3.23 meters, in length. The Bachelor was the most coveted big game trophy in the United Provinces from 1920 to 1930. The Bachelor was shot and killed in the winter of 1930 by the British hunter Jim Corbett, who later wrote about the incident in his 1944 book Man-Eaters of Camus. Previous hunter attempts. In 1923, Jim Corbett discovered the Bachelor for the first time in a safe retreat Steep Valley. Government regulations that forbade shooting at night unintentionally assisted in the survival of the highly sought-after tiger. In addition to 2 skilled shikaris, Corbett brought Commissioner Wyndham, whom he said knows more about tigers than any other man in India, to inspect the pug marks of the Bachelor. Wyndham determined that the tiger was 10 feet, 3 meters, long between pegs after the 4 looked at and measured the pug marks. While one shikari claimed to be 10 feet 5 inches over curves, the other claimed to be 10 feet 6 inches or taller. All 4 claimed to have never seen pug marks so enormous. Before Corbett, there had been a lot of failed efforts to win the Bachelor. Famous hunters Fred Anderson and Hewish Eadie came close to accomplishing their goals, but were stopped by a few minor errors. The Bachelor was as big as a Shetland pony, according to Anderson, and as big as a donkey, according to Eadie. The Bachelor was described to Corbett as being about the size of a camel, a shaitan, the devil, of a tiger, and had previously attacked a herder and former poacher. Although there were no other witnesses there to verify the measurements, Corbett and his sister twice measured the Bachelor's body after he had been shot by the former and found it to be 10 feet 7 inches, 3.23 m over curves. First encounter with the tiger. Corbett went on his first tiger hunt in the winter of 1930 while accompanied by his dog Robin. He went in the direction of the largest pug marks he had ever seen, which led east to a valley that was heavily forested, as suggested by an elderly DAC runner. The following morning, Corbett saw enormous, recent pug marks, while Robin detected the scent of a tiger. After traveling 50 yards, Robin discovered the tiger in a 40-yard wide clerodendron patch. Corbett picked up Robin and moved cautiously into the vegetation when he noticed the patch up ahead trembling. Corbett moved forward with his gun drawn after waiting for the tiger to emerge from the bush, but the animal was not to be found. The tiger had then entered a deep and confined gully to the left, Robin signaled. Corbett and Robin went back to their house since they were unprepared to face a tiger up close and it was time for breakfast. Corbett reappeared alone after breakfast, this time carrying a .450 rifle. He discovered a man yelling and brandishing an axe from atop a tree after hearing shouts. The man told Corbett that a tiger the size of a camel had been threatening the herder for hours when he finally arrived in time to save him and his buffaloes. The man begged Corbett to kill the tiger after making it safely back to his hamlet. He claimed that the tiger was large enough to consume a buffalo every day and would destroy all of his animals in 25 minutes. Corbett pledged to give it his all. He heard the call of the Bachelor looking for a mate as he made his way back to the plains across which he had escorted the herder's buffaloes. After mimicking a tiger call, Corbett responded by laying down in the open on his elbows and waiting for the tiger to approach. The Bachelor responded with a call from 100 yards away when Corbett made another tiger call. 80 seconds later, the tiger's head materialized above shrubs that were only 10 yards, 10 meters, to Corbett's right and 4 feet, 1.3 meters, high, staring directly at him. When the tiger was an inch from Corbett's right eye, he gently turned his gun and fired. In contrast to what Corbett had anticipated, the enormous cat leapt straight into the air, far over the shrubs, and then, in a fit of rage, attacked the nearby tree, shredding it to pieces while howling. Corbett was afraid to reload his weapon since he knew the tiger knew where he was and the sound may alert the Bachelor. He remained still on the ground for a half hour while the roaring subsided and the neighboring shrubs and tree branches ceased swaying. Corbett waited for another 30 minutes until the thrashing had ceased, then crept backwards 30 yards and took refuge in a nearby tree. When Corbett was certain the tiger was gone after a few more minutes, he departed for home. Tracking the tiger. The following morning, Corbett and one of his men, a skilled tree climber, came back to the area. The man entered the open grounds and climbed a tree, observing numerous flattened bushes nearby but no evidence of the tiger itself. Corbett then gave the man in the tree the order to keep an eye on him while he searched the area. Corbett discovered 2 enormous pools of blood, a piece of bone that was 2 square inches in size, and what was later determined to be a piece of the tiger's skull next to the tree. Corbett fired 100 shots at bushes close to a blood-stained tree in the hopes of scaring an injured tiger away, but to no avail. Corbett returned home after failing to locate the tiger nearby. Final encounter with the tiger. The herder came up to Corbett the next morning. After learning that the tiger had been shot in the head, he assumed it had died after his buffaloes discovered dried blood stains. He suggested that Corbett employ his buffaloes, which have acute senses of smell, to locate the tiger's body. Corbett agreed. When Corbett arrived at the spot where he shot the tiger, he discovered a hole covered in flattened dead leaves and surrounded by bloody patches. The bachelor must have been laying in the same location yesterday while he was using 100 cartridges, Corbett reasoned. Corbett informed the herder that the following day, he would go in search of the tiger by himself since he felt uneasy about the possibility of being in the way of a herd of buffaloes and a wounded tiger. Corbett discovered the pug marks of a large male tiger after 4 days of exploring the bush. Corbett arrived at a semel tree that was planted by tigers by following the pug marks. After spending over an hour weaving through the neighboring undergrowth, Corbett came across a tiger, its head and body concealed behind a tree with only its leg out. Corbett decided not to shoot the tiger at that time because there was another tiger nearby and he didn't want to take the chance of having to deal with 2 injured tigers. The tiger then turned and left. Corbett discovered blood drips while investigating the area where the tiger had been and realized it had been the bachelor all along. Corbett was trying to pursue the tiger when he heard a sunbark cry in a dense jungle region, followed by the snap of a dry twig in the same location. Corbett, who was on the ground, peered through the bushes and seen something red. Corbett crouched 2 yards to the right and glanced up to see the tiger staring at him in the face. The hunt for the most sought-after prize in the province for the past 10 years came to a conclusion when the tiger fell to his side silently after 2 bullet rounds. He didn't need to check the tiger's pug marks to identify it as the Bachelor of Powalgarh because of his spectacular size. On the front of his head, a wrinkle of skin covered the bullet wound from 4 days prior, but the rear of his head had a sizable hole that was remarkably clean and healthy. Knowing that people had heard his rifle, Corbett hastened home to calm the villagers' fears and assemble a carrying party. 20 men including his sister, Robin, accompanied Corbett as he traveled back to the area where the tiger was found. 7 years after Wyndham and his crew measured the tiger, Corbett measured it twice, once when it was still in the wild and once while it was at home. The tiger was discovered by Corbett and his sister to be 10 feet 7 inches, 323 centimeters, over curves.